Hello everyone, today's video is going to be a paint with me video. I'll be taking out my acrylic paints and coloring in this sketchbook spread that I have here. I'll be talking about the entire process from the beginning steps all the way towards the finishing of the illustration. So let's jump right into it. So for the first step, I like to always think of a color scheme for the painting illustration. So for some inspiration, I like to go to Google Images and pick whatever color scheme really speaks to me. So what I generally gravitate towards are the color schemes that have blue tones to them. That's just the color that I really prefer. So for this one, I decided to just use this color scheme here, the paint that I'm mixing here, mainly because it has blue, but it also has some green tones to it. Now, for whatever reason, I always stay away from the color green. I don't know what it is, but that's just a color that I don't really like using that often. So this sketchbook spread was going to be a challenge for me, which I wanted to embrace and see how well I did. So yeah, it's really funny because whenever I have these marker sets or like these paint sets, the color that I always have remaining is the green markers or the green paint. So I just really want to use up all the paint supplies that I have. So that was basically the idea behind that. And then I don't know if you guys saw earlier in the video the paint palette that I was using. So it's like this smaller paint palette. I prefer those palettes because it's really easy to clean up afterwards. And also it is pretty easy to move those palettes around my desk. So you guys probably don't know, but my desk is a huge mess and there really is not much surface area to work on, so I prefer the smaller palettes. So it's like a plus or like a win-win for cleaning and for mobility. But yeah, and then the brush that I'm using is like a really small brush. I mean, the bristles are probably smaller than like half a centimeter. And so that's really great for filling in all these tiny little details because these drawings are pretty small. So I really want to make sure that none of the paint goes over those lines and like covers it up. So yeah. I will say that I wish that I had a brush that was a lot stiffer. The bristles on this brush are pretty bendy and like it moves around a lot, which is it's kind of difficult to control that paint. So yeah, I wish I did have like a stiffer brush. Then here I'm just coloring in the skin color. So like if you see me just going over the same area again and again and you're like wondering like why I'm doing that, it's because I'm trying to smoothen out the paint. So with like acrylic paints, it has a lot of texture to it, meaning like if you like lift up this paper and look very closely, you can see like all the bumps and the grooves and stuff like that. So it's just like my personal preference that I want it to lie flat. And I don't know, I know that there's like some artists that really use that to their advantage and they use that texture to add just a different element to their paintings. But for me, since I'm working in a sketchbook, I just like it to be flat so then I can close it easily and it doesn't add too much bulkiness to the sketchbook. Because if you think about it, if every drawing on every page had so much paint over it and it had like a lot of thickness to it, it's going to add, to the width of the sketchbook. And I don't want to destroy my sketchbook's binding. So, yeah. And then here I'm just painting in this character. I added like a circle behind this character, mainly because I was trying to change up the shape. So like whenever I'm thinking about the composition of a sketchbook spread, I want there to be a variety of different elements. So on this side of the sketchbook spread, I wanted to add like a circle, because on the right side there was a lot of like rectangles, a lot of squares, a lot of boring shapes on the right side. So I wanted to add something interesting on the left side. So that was like my thought process behind that. And then I added this teal hat. I just absolutely love the teal color. It's like such a beautiful color. I just love blues for whatever reason. That's just like my go-to, my safe color. Then for this drawing, I added a lot of pop cans to the entire drawing. That's like the one element that I wanted to weave in through each of these individual drawings. I was trying to think about like what is something that like a common theme for each of these drawings. So that was something that I wanted to do. And on the right side of the page, I didn't add a pop can because I didn't really know where to add it. Like, it was like, I was thinking that character on the right side of the page couldn't be holding the pop can, but it wasn't really working out. The pose looked really awkward, so I decided to scratch that and just to keep it as is. So yeah, then here I'm painting the couch in the background, and I don't know if it's at this point or later on in the video. It might be a little bit later, but with this dark color, one thing that I was really struggling with was trying to get a smooth line for the couch. For whatever reason, when I was painting, the edges were very jagged and wavy, and it kind of looked like the paint was drying up. Now, I have one theory on why this might be happening. Maybe like I didn't add enough paint to my brush, and so I was like quickly painting it. So that's what caused that to happen. And since these paints the specific color is really dark, it really showed through. I have a tendency of just using pastel really, really light colors. So this issue is not as visible. So yeah, it's something that I really struggled with in this drawing. And then I added curtains in the background. So yeah, more struggles. So I tried to slow down when I was painting and just go one little line at a time, and really tried to hide that roughness. I also kind of cheated, and I took out my markers to outline the different paints and stuff like that, or like the different shapes. So if you guys see me at any point in time in this video pull out those markers, now you know why. Here I am painting this dog. I'm not really into drawing animals, mainly because I'm not that great at it. I don't have that much practice, so I tend to stay away from it. But for this little corner of the sketchbook spread, I didn't know what to fill in that area with. I couldn't really I couldn't fill in a person in there. Wow, that sentence made no sense. What I wanted to say was that like a person couldn't really fit in that area. I mean, I could have drawn like a face or something, but I thought might as well just practice drawing a dog. So I didn't really like the face on this one, so I just literally covered it up with paint, and I think it looked pretty okay. I mean, that was the best I could do. So yeah, then here I am painting the curtains that I was talking about earlier, and I always like to come up with different challenges for myself. So I was kind of bummed out that, I pulled out my highlighters to like fix up these curtains, but sometimes it happens. Sometimes you just have to save your drawing and just do whatever your drawing needs at that specific moment. So for this drawing, it really needed the markers because it needed the smooth lines. So yeah, never hesitate from pulling out the materials that you're comfortable with and just using them. But yeah, then I'm just smoothing out the lines here. I was trying to smoothen out that texture like I've been talking about. Then here I took out my small brush. Oh yeah, I took out my small brush and also tried doing that. You can just see like the amount of struggles that I had with this illustration. So going back in again and again. You would think that drawing like simple stripes wouldn't be that terrible, but no. I also do think that because these are not like professional paints either. These are just really normal paints that you find at the craft store. So that could be the reason. And then maybe like, you know, the paper is not that great either. It could be any number of things. Honestly, who knows? But then here I'm using those markers to fill in the shirt or the tank top. I actually was trying to fill in those tiny areas with my brush, but no, that was really not working. Oh, then here I was adding more dimensions to the background with my marker. I like these markers. These are like highlighters, water-based markers. Oh yeah, and I also added this plaid pattern to the pants. I don't know why, because the right side already had so many patterns, but I guess at that point in time I was just like, you know what would be really great for these pants? More patterns. So yeah. Then I think I even went back again over some of those lines and I outlined some of those lines to just add more patterns. Yeah, but if I could go back, I would probably just pick a solid color for those pants so it wouldn't be too busy on the right side of the page. But yeah, I think I just fill in. I was also thinking about filling in some of those squares with like a light green color, but then I decided against that, so I think I just left it like this, which I think it's not too terrible. The highlighter is pretty light anyways, so yeah, I think that was pretty much it. And then the next thing that I do is color in with the light green color underneath. Oh, I think I also colored the light green on the shirt. I forgot about that. So the reason I did this is because I wanted this light green color to kind of tie in each of these individual drawings to each other, so that when the viewer is looking at this drawing, they can have like a nice flow between each drawing. So it's like, it kind of creates like a triangle. But I don't know if that made any sense, but the basic idea behind this is that it creates a cohesive sketchbook spread. So, yeah. Yeah, sometimes I just don't know how to explain myself. So, then I added like a little patch here underneath this dog, because this dog was just like floating in space. So, it kind of needed something to stand on. So, that's what this little patch was for, this little green area. Yeah, I think that's pretty much close to the end of this illustration, this long adventure. Yeah, I think I have like an outro or something to show the entire sketchbook spread up in close up and then outwards, so you can just see the messy paints. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching.